First of all, I want to say thank you to everybody who has decided to be a guest on my first official season one, episode one, guest of The Space Between. Today, I have several guests, and the fun part is I have not even met most of these people, I think, but that's the Dave Matthews Band family for you. We all just kind of get together and say, we're together for the love of Dave. And so I would like to start with just letting my guests introduce themselves. And again, thank you for joining today. Who would like to be first?
I can go first. First and foremost, Renae, I'd really like to thank you for putting this together. I think it's a great idea. My name's Kyle, or Kyle J, or Kyle Preby, but I am from Wisconsin, so my roots are Wisconsin. And then Lynn's here with me.
I'm Lynn, and yes, Renae, thank you so much for having us today. I'm from Fort Lauderdale, so my home venue is West Palm, and I grew up there, and that's where I started, my love for Dave.
Well, thank you guys so much for being with me. So Wisconsin and West Palm Beach, those are two very strong day venues. I just got to visit Wisconsin last year for the very first time. To be from there, how do you feel about Alpine?
So Alpine it's a magical place. I mean, if you think about it, we have it fills 37,000 people. So the energy there is so loud. I mean, the crowd is singing every lyric, and you can hear it across the whole amphitheater. Not to mention, as we call it, is one of the biggest tailgating pre-games in the United States.
That's what I've heard.
So, I mean, it's so big, so loud, and the boys love playing there. I mean, they've expressed it since the early 90s. So it's a unique place. And if anybody haven't had the chance to go there, not just for Dave, but for any concert, the place is electric.
So was everyone at Alpine this year?
Yes.
Okay.
I was. Yep.
Okay, so we were literally all there.
I was too. Yeah, I mean, but they don't play Alpine every year. So
that's
when
right.
They do, to me, it's kind of a treat.
I remember
it's always over 4th of July.
Well,
so that's always fun.
It's on the top of my list for favorites. I haven't been obviously to every single venue, but Alpine is my first choice every year. So at least I'm hoping every other year we get a trip to Wisconsin. Now, West Palm Beach, I hear, I don't know, but I hear that y'all get a great concert 2 nights every time they come to West Palm Beach. Is that right?
Yeah, it's always 2 nights. This year was supposed to be Memorial Dave, and then he got COVID, so they had to push it back to August again. I would say it's definitely the hottest concert of all tour, but it's still a great time.
Absolutely. I've seen the pictures and it looks gorgeous. It's almost as if you can see the ocean as you're sitting there watching Dave. Am I seeing wrong, or is that true?
You can't really see the ocean, but you definitely have some good sunsets.
Some of these pictures were amazing, then.
There's a lake there, Renae. That's
okay.
And it's kind of, there's a nice little hill on the top. So there's always a nice view of this crooked palm tree and the sun going down. And some years we get rainbows, because if there was a shower and then the sun comes out, I've gotten over the years some really good pictures of rainbows there. So it just makes it a little bit more magic.
Well, Kyle and Lynn, thank you both for being on my very first podcast. Suzanne, Ali, who wants to go first?
Suzanne, go ahead, since you're already on the West Palm gig. Please.
Yeah.
Okay, well, actually, I'm in Florida at the moment. And Lynn, I don't think I've met you. Is your name Lynn Zimmerman?
Yeah.
I'll edit that out if need be.
I don't care. Anyone can know who I am.
Okay, cool.
I'm in Florida. I work often here. I'm in Boca at the moment, and I have my family has a place here. But anyway, I've been going to West Palm since I don't even know. But it's interesting to me how there's only a few of the double show weekends left at this point in time. Years and years ago, there used to be so many more 2-night stands. There used to be Mansfield, there used to be Hartford, there used to be lots of other 2-night stands. And I feel like there's only maybe 6 or 7 now that are like the mighty 6 or whatever, with the 2-day weekends with, with
Mhm.
Camden, SPAC, West Palm.
Why do you think that
Of
is,
course.
Suzanne? Do you have any kind of ideas on why that is?
I don't know. I mean, they've tightened it up over the years,
Mhm.
but I don't know whether it has to do with the attendance. But like Kyle just said, and I never was aware of this, I didn't realize Alpine was that much larger of a venue than all these others, because to me it just looks like every other outdoor, summer venue. But perhaps it's the lawn space that
I think it
gives
is. I think the lawn
that
holds
much.
more than what is seated. Is that right, Kyle?
Yeah, the lawn is massive. I mean, if you think about it, we've all been there. I mean, when you look from either the pit or the lowers and look at the lawn, it is so steep.
It is.
Yeah, and I mean, people fall, and when it rains, you get the famous mudslides where people slide down the mud. If you look on YouTube, there's plenty of videos.
I know, I'm kind of sad it didn't rain when I was there to watch that live.
That's one of the
it's
toughest back to front shots right there, Kyle, is at that venue at Alpine. I'll tell you
There
that.
was one year in West Palm where it started raining so hard. I think it was 2015, and Dave just started singing "Slip Sliding Away" because literally everyone in the lawn was in trenches of mud.
That would just make me want to go slide.
Yeah.
Like, okay, here we go, Dave.
There's historically been that type of mud mess on the lawn in SPAC too for many, many years. There's just something about SPAC where it always either rains the night before or the day of. And I had one lawn experience at SPAC about 7 years ago, 8 years ago, that I would not repeat again. It was a mess. There were frat boys with their shirts off, sliding belly down the mud hills, and they were just intoxicated. It was crazy.
I didn't hear one bad thing.
Well,
sounds like so much fun to watch. No, as
it
long
was-
as I'm not in the
it
middle
was
of it.
a little crazy. But SPAC is another one of those sort of spectacular venues that everybody talks about. And obviously, I'm on the East Coast. I'm from New Jersey. But there's so many venues that are drivable for me that, it's just, I could be to Hartford in 90 minutes. I could be to Jones Beach in under an hour. My home venue is Homedale, which is New Jersey, which is always on a Wednesday. And historically, Jones Beach is always the night before on a Tuesday. And then Hartford's 90 minutes. My brother lives about 15 minutes from the venue in Mansfield, in Massachusetts, the Comcast Center. But SPAC happens to be located inside of a national, I believe it's either a national, it's a national park. And it's sort of a magical place because there's so many pine trees and golf courses in Saratoga Springs. It's basically, in the Adirondacks. And when you drive into the state park to get to the venue, you go down a street called the Avenue of the Pines. And it's just this majestic, grand street with very tall and gorgeous pines. You would think you were in maybe Lake Tahoe or California or someplace like that. But I always roll down my windows when I drive into the park just to get that beautiful smell, of the pine trees. And then when you go further into the park, you'll find historical buildings there where they still hold weddings. And they have like a Victorian pool that was built in the 1930s that's still in use today. There's golf courses. There's a historical hotel in there. There's other pools and picnic areas and streams and waterfalls. So SPAC is a pretty special place too, for those of you who haven't had the chance to visit. And again, it's always a 2-day weekend. So it's worth
Suzanne,
it to make the
thank you
trip.
so much for being willing to be on my show today. And then we have
Oh,
one
thank
more.
you for having us.
Absolutely. We have one more who has not spoke a word, which is very unlike him. So here we go.
I am Allie Bake. I am Indiana, Deer Creek, and that's my home venue. And thank you for getting us all together. And I have met every one of you, and every one of you I consider in my DMB family. And I love how this band has brought us all together and speaks the magnitude of love and giving and all that, which is what we really believe in. And one of the biggest things that I wanted to really stress today was that's what this family is all about, is love. And I every now and then I see cyberbullying on some of these DMB family sites and things like that, and it just makes me so angry, because that's the last thing that this band is about, is hate, and discrimination.
Absolutely.
And they've said multiple times we're all different colors, races, and shapes and sizes, and we got to love everybody. And that's what I love about each one of you and everyone on this call and everyone in the families, that we're so different and that we're all together as one.
Hello, everybody. This is Dave Rich from the Eddie Casino Band out in Las Vegas. We're really excited to get this journey going, celebrating our music, our original music, on all platforms. We just released our first single over Labor Day weekend called Eddie Casino. If you're looking for new music, look out for our next single coming out to Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, Apple Music. These guys in the band are really excited to get started playing music for you all. If you like Tom Petty, Zach Brown, Jason Mraz, Dave Matthews Band, Rob Thomas, Jimmy Buffett, Pink Floyd, Stapleton, Bare Naked Ladies, Goose, Billy Strings, Sting and the Police, a ton of influences that we bring to the table. Hope you enjoy our music and look forward to seeing you soon live on stage.
I love that. Thank you so much. That was everything. Thank you. I'm just going to let you host the rest of this show. That was amazing.
Absolutely. What Ali said is absolutely just on point.
It's perfect. It's perfect.
It's so much more. It's so much more than music.
That we live in such a world of hate right now, and it's refreshing, I think, to remember that not the whole world is about that. And so thank you for being on this side of love or hate. And so thank you for being the people that you are and for continuing to share what makes you tick. So, music Absolutely. Is powerful. Music is an art, and it can be used for good in so many ways. Music can be used for bad, but I believe that this music is being used for the greater good. And so I'm so excited to have y'all all on the show. So here is our first question that I really want you to dig deep into. So explain to me, so we've got 31 years in, which first of all, that just makes me feel really old when I say 31 years that this band has been playing. But if you think about the history of the 31 years, think of where life has taken you. In 1991, I was 11. So now I'm 43 and life's a whole lot different, but it's fun to think about my voyage, or I always like to call it my trip with the Dave Matthews Band, because big things have happened. I mean, marriage and babies and careers and all of these things that life really is all about, just family. It kind of has come full circle. And so tell me how has your love grown, and how has your life changed on a really simple basis? What does the past 31 years look like? And has Dave Matthews Band carried you through that 31 years, or has it kind of been like a seasonal thing?
Go ahead.
Ollie, you go.
I was going to say, I just love what you said there, because I actually had it written down on my notes for what you said, is that how these lyrics have changed so much for me in my time, as you just said, when I first fell in love, and what those lyrics of The Stone meant to me versus my marriage and kids, and then going through a divorce. And then, when you look at after a divorce, what those lyrics of The Stone mean, there's just so many, that song evolves so many times. And that's not the only song. There's so many songs that evolve in lyrics. And, this band started, when I first heard the violin, I used to play the violin all the way through high school. And when I first heard the unique sound of Dave Matthews with that violin and that amazing drum and the beat, and that's what got me in. And I had no idea about lyrics at that time. I had no idea what I was singing. I had no idea anything about ants and marching. I was just singing words that they were coming out of their mouth. Right. And then later on, I learned what those lyrics meant. I learned like actually what it meant to me in my life and love and all those things that helped me go through. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've, had these lyrics be the story of my life and just think
Mhm.
like, man, he's writing everything that I'm feeling right now.
It's incredible. It's incredible.
Go ahead, Suzanne. Thank you so much for letting me start.
Oh, sure. No, I mean, Dave has been evolving. Dave has evolved. I mean, there are other members of the band that have co-written songs with Dave, but let's face it, Dave is the main, the main songwriter,
Yeah.
the main message giver, the main, he's just poetry in motion. But yes, everything has evolved. And what he talks about today is a very, very clear reflection on his kids' lives going forward a little bit more than what he used to write about and what he used to sing about. But certain songs like The Stone and like Don't Drink the Water, they can be applicable to so many situations in the world today, in the world 200 years ago.
Absolutely.
It's sort of epic how he can put these things lyrically and musically into such a beautiful form. The simple song of So Damn Lucky, when you really understand what that's about and what he wrote it about and how he can actually verbalize those seconds when
Mhm.
you are between possible life and death
Right.
and you don't know what's happening, and to do it so beautifully and lyrically and masterfully. I mean, yeah, the songs that are timeless will always be timeless. He left his mark on civilization for sure. And
Absolutely.
some of the more frivolous songs like Tripping Billies and stuff, they'll always be fun.
For sure.
But I think that there's so many of us who have endured certain difficulties and hardships with the help of the music and the songs, and we just sort of disappear into it. And it is our quote happy place.
Mhm.
But that's the music. But then part of the happy place for me is also the travel and the friends. It's just
Yes. It's like a
it's just
family reunion all of the time.
it's listen, let's face it, it's what we look forward to every summer. And being able to travel and see new places and meet new people every time
Yeah.
and catch up with the people that you already know is a gift. And we keep doing it because the band is there for us, and we love the music. I mean, it's so nice that Facebook and other forms of social platforms have enabled us to be friends and keep in touch throughout the year too. I think that's a beautiful gift. But
Absolutely.
we're all together with this common thread, and the music is undeniable.
It's magical. It really is. And
It
that
really
seems like
is.
such an elementary word, but it describes it so well. Lynn,
Yeah. So
31 years.
Yeah, I'm going to answer this question a little differently than everyone
Yes.
else. Because for me, I started going to Dave with my brother, and it's kind of funny. He wouldn't let me go to a show until I was 18 because of all the debauchery and shenanigans that, go around on shows. And so for quite some time, I really only did the 2-day run of West Palm until recently. So in perspective, right, I've had this whole connection and tradition with my brother where I would go to shows with him. But over this past year, I've really grown and evolved to have a true, DMB family, if you will, and a group of friends that, will be lifelong friends. Like I'm sitting here next to Kyle and we just celebrated Thanksgiving together and I met him in February. So, when you put that fully into perspective and bring it all full circle, that truly for me is how everything has evolved. And alongside that, of course, the band has evolved too. You bring Buddy into the mix and, he's brought an energy to the band that, I think hasn't replaced the fiddle, but has definitely, filled a little bit of a void. So, for me, the past 31 years, I'm the young buck in the group. So I haven't been singing for 31 years, but
Well,
You were in the room
I
at
don't
31
think
years
any of
ago.
us have.
You weren't even alive, Lynn. I mean, Lynn was such a little baby. And also, I want to just say, when I see Lynn and Kyle hanging out, I think that they've been friends for the whole 31 years. I mean, it's amazing to think that they just met in February. They're just like two peas in a pod. And
It's
the
a true
friendship, it's
example.
amazing.
is a
It
true
really
example of friendship from Dave Matthews Band, because we all meet people, and I would say 90% of those people stick like glue and are just your best friends after. And so you can't go anywhere and find those kind of incredible people that are going to be lifelong friends. Or I'm sure there's a way. I just haven't found the way. But Dave Matthews Band is definitely been one of those places to find just people that you would have never met, right? And that's the cool thing about it, and cross your paths because it never would have. But then how much you have in common and you've never met, that is electric, that feeling when you meet someone that has the same thoughts and ideas and beliefs and likes in music and passion for music. So when you can meet those people, it's magical. So I'm gonna guess, I'm gonna guess I just described your relationship. No, is that true? No. Okay, crickets again.
No, I guess I'll elaborate on what we've been talking about here. For me, I haven't been the 31 years. I haven't.
I don't think any of us have.
Right, in 91. It's a long time, but can remember the first time I really listened to the band. I had two friends of mine. We were hanging out and they literally sat me down, turned on the Central Park album and was like, "Hey, Kyle, just seriously listen to this." And then I think at that time we even pulled up the lyrics on AOL, I think AOL back then, dial up.
LimeWire.
Yes, it was an AOL concert. It was an AOL concert.
And that album just resonated with me from Two Step and Cortez the Killer with Warren Haynes.
Yeah.
And that album is what's got me into the band. And then that summer, I was a senior in high school, is when I saw them for the first time at Alpine, and seeing them live literally changed everything. Like, it was literally the best live performance I had ever seen at that time. And just their sound was so unique to see all these different pieces of this band come together and produce this beautiful but amazing sound. And that every person in that crowd was singing the lyrics. I was just blown away by it. I'd never seen anything like that in my entire life. And from that point, I was hooked. As far as the evolution of the band, I mean, obviously we've seen changes with Boyd and the music in general. I mean, some of the songs has evolved over time, and we all know some of the songs that have kind of changed over the years, and the lyrics have changed and the style of it has changed. Some have gotten shorter, some have gotten longer. But that's the best part about this band, is that it's never the same. The set lists are never the same. Even the jams, every show is unique. It's what I really love about this band. And like, you never know what you're going to get.
What's up, everybody? This is David with the Dave Matthews Tribute Band. We're a nationally touring tribute to DMB, playing shows all over the country and beyond. Our goal is to bring you back to the classic sound that you fell in love with in the 90s and the 2000s, featuring a violin, saxophone, and maybe some keyboards sprinkled in as well. You can find out information about all of our tours and shows by visiting thedmtb.com. You can also check us out on Facebook and Instagram and other socials by searching the Dave Matthews Tribute Band or the DMTB. Hope to see you on the road and enjoy the Space Between podcast.
Can you hear my dog barking in the back? Random comment after what you just told us, but can you hear my dog in the back? Well, not now, of course, now that I've just said that. And we'll edit this part out, sorry. They're literally standing here barking at me. Like, hello, we want to be part of whatever you're doing.
You can't hear him, so I mean.
Okay, good. Well, I'll listen back through it. He just was standing right here barking at me, and I'm like, please take him away.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, we can hear the
Thank
dog.
you. Thank you. Okay. So let's talk about something non-Dave Matthews Band, which is insane. And I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but I always really, so Dave Matthews Band for me is, yes, it's my favorite band. Is it the only music I listen to? No, it's not. I listen to a lot of different music, and I think just music in general is it fills the void, the quiet. For me, it's an art that you can get to from anywhere, from nowhere, inside your head. No one can take the music from inside your head, and so it's something that's soothing that I hold on to. So I listen to a lot of different kinds of music. I love jazz. I love, I've got John Coltrane on my record player right now. I went to go see Trombone Shorty 2 weeks ago. I love a lot of different music, a lot of different kinds of music. Tell me what is in your ears when it's not Dave Matthews Band?
I can start this one off here. I literally listen to everything. Obviously Dave is my favorite, but it depends on what week you catch me. I go through
Sure.
different phases, moods, as we all do. I mean, lately, I'm not listening to Dave. It's been a lot of Billy Strings.
Yeah.
Billy is just an incredible musician and incredible guitarist. And I think what he's doing right now in the music industry is changing it ultimately forever. I mean, from his bluegrass style to psychedelic rock style is unlike anything I've ever heard. And he's getting recognition not just from that country bluegrass community, but like everybody, even in the jam community to the rock community. He's really changing, I think, music and paving another path for after, the Fish and the Dave Matthews bands and
That's
Widespread
so true.
all done playing.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
I totally agree.
And, I'll even like this past weekend, we were jamming to Rufus Du Sol. So like I like EDM a lot, or like I was raised on the Beatles. So, I mean, the Beatles are, classic rock's a big part of my life.
Absolutely.
And it's just, to me, it's the live music that I love. And, from country to, even like alternative right now, or even like 90s alternative that, we kind of grew up with. It depends on each week, but I'd like to say that I listen to a lot.
A lot of different kinds. Yeah.
A lot.
Lynn, are you the same?
And so, Kyle just mentioned he was raised on the Beatles. And so I guess I'll segue that into, I listen to everything besides probably heavy metal. That's, I think, the only genre of music I haven't been able to fully get into just yet. But anything live for me is where it's at. I think that, music and lyrics truly do fill your soul. And so my family is a group of big music people, and it's, during tough times, right? My family, we got together. My brother was unfortunately going through a divorce, and we decided that we were going to start this Zimmerman concert series. And so this past year, we've gone to Billy Joel, James Taylor, Paul McCartney.
Oh my goodness.
Just going to all these artists that our parents grew up on, and they want to make sure that, we get to see these legends before, they stop playing or they
It's like they're handing you
we went to Elton John,
yeah.
So, that's been a huge thing for me. So music in general, I'm a huge oldies fan, is a big part of everything. And obviously Dave, yes, during the summer, my Sirius station doesn't, leave Dave Matthews.
No way.
But in the off season, there's a lot of other types of music out there too that definitely fill your soul up.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think Billy Strings is definitely one of my favorite new artists as well. And again, that has to do with what you guys are saying, the live show that he puts on, as well as the lyrics. If you listen to his lyrics, he's got some deep lyrics in there as well. And some of the other, the one of my all-time favorite artists obviously is Bob Marley. He's another lyrics about peace and love. And some of the other artists that I've really listened to and I've got to meet and talk to about Dave Matthews, and things like that, like Blues Traveler, Big Head Todd. These are bands
Oh
that
my
Dave
goodness,
used to
yes.
even open for, and
Yes.
now they're like, I saw, I met Todd from Big Head Todd, and the whole band, they used to be so big and now they're in a van. You know what I mean? So you go through the ups and the downs, when you used to have that big bus or that big plane and this and that. And now you're in you're playing back at the Vogue again,
Yep.
where you started when Dave opened for you back then, so it's just really amazing the way that they go up and down. And another band is Fish, for example, and a lot of the Fish fans and Trey Anastasio, they sometimes hate Dave Matthews, and Dave Matthews Band. And I'm like, you guys don't understand. Dave got your lead singer through the toughest time of his life, and Trey was going through a whole heroin bust, and he was in a home arrest, and Dave actually got him out and made one of my favorite albums, Sun Devil, was made with Trey Anastasio. And he actually got him out of the darkest times in his life and got him into the recording studio. And that Trey was on an ankle monitor and he was allowed to leave to play on stage. That's how much Dave Matthews helped Trey. And I finally got to talk a little bit about that with Karan Capshaw at Hollywood Bowl. Karan has actually been for 25 years both the manager of Dave and Fish,
Oh, wow.
And so people don't understand that. The same guy manages, both bands for over 20 years, and they're really good friends. And, people just, again, that say, oh, Dave Matthews, I can't stand him, where they're big Fish fans. I'm like, do you really understand, what happened there with Trey? Do you even know the story? I don't think a lot of them do. And many Dave Matthews fans don't know that story either. But Dave's gone through his struggles as well. And, many people have. And we all have our downs. We all have our ups. And it's those friends that get you out of the house that really matter. So,
Absolutely.
And along with Ali talking about like Dave and Trey's relationship, I mean, just this past year in Mexico, they obviously sat in on each other's sets. You can see their chemistry and their undeniable love for one another. It's like two best friends that are playing together, and you can just see that through their energy and their body language. Whether or not you know their music or not, that these guys are good friends just by the way they look at each other.
Right. Like a mutual respect when they look at each other. Like, they respect what each other does. Yeah. God, can you imagine? This will never happen, obviously, but can you imagine a day where like you could bring those two together for like on stage together? Has that ever happened? Never, probably. But
Dave Matthews and friends. They've played together for, I guess it was essentially a tour, and then the Vegas shows.
Okay.
So I mean, they played together.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to YouTube all of that. I did not know about that.
No, there's actually a lot more than that. I mean, I went on a cruise, a Dave and Friends cruise in 2006, where you signed up for this cruise, and it was called Dave Matthews and Friends, and you got on a cruise ship in Miami. There was two of them. They were run by the Royal Caribbean. One of them was Majesty of the Seas, and I think the other one was Princess of the Seas. And you were going to a, quote, undisclosed location for this concert. And when we got on board, we got our cabins and stuff, and we found out what the itinerary was. And there were these lounges in the cruise ships that, there was like a karaoke bar in the cruise ship, and there was a piano bar in the cruise ship, and there was a sports lounge in the cruise. And each one of these little lounges was hosting a different musician at different times on the cruise. And one of them was Phil Lesh. And one of them, I remember there was something with Government Mule. So what happens was these acts were on one cruise ship, and then we all sailed to the Bahamas, and we got off the cruise ship to go to the concert, which was on a beach, which is staged on the beach, which is similar to what Dave does now in Mexico. So there's 2,500 people coming off each ship, coming to shore by tender, and we're all lined up on the beach in front of the stage. And it was February, I think, of 2006, and it was kind of chilly, and the skies just kept getting darker and darker. And by the time they came out and played, and Trey was there, by the way, Trey played with Dave on the stage, and again, the mutual respect and admiration.
Wow.
And then there was several other guests. The guests that were, on these cruise ships were coming out to play, and unfortunately, it became a sort of a monsoon, and they had to shut it down. We were just standing there in the pouring rain, and everybody they shut it. They were taking instruments off the stage one by one because of the the way the stage was set up. It was sort of closed on the sides, but opened in the front and in the back. And the wind was blowing, and they were afraid of electrical accidents, so they kept unplugging the instruments and taking them off the stage, covering them with tarps. So anyway, everybody had to leave, and it was a complete. I can't even tell you what, trying to get off that island on a boat with 5,000 people in front of you in the pouring rain. But what happened was Dave actually came onto the cruise ships and played in the auditoriums, both of the cruise ships, at about 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning, and did us right.
Oh my
and
goodness.
That was the first time I ever met him, because I was waiting in the stairwell. There was only one floor on the cruise ship that you could exit, the gangplank, whatever. And I was sort of waiting in the hallway there on the stairs just to meet him. But he played each one of the cruise ships auditoriums. I think ours was first. And then when he finished at like 2 a.m., he went over to the other cruise ship. And then the acts that were in the, performing on the way down switched cruise ships. So then like Phil Lesh went on the other ship on the way back.
That's
and
insane.
The other acts.
When was this? 2006? No.
2006, I think it was.
2006.
Yeah, it was either 5 or 6. I'm pretty sure it was 6. But yeah, Dave also played with Trey in Lincoln Center. I saw him there. He's come out several times in Mexico. I've gone to all the Mexico shows. I think this is the 6th one or the 7th one. So starting from like year 1, he came out, and they always do Waste, which is just, it's just beautiful,
How lucky are you?
But I just recently read that story that Ali was just describing to us. I only read that this summer. I didn't realize that David helped Trey through such a really critical time in his life. And I only read that recently. Mm-hmm.
That's really cool. That's really cool. Well, guys, last question. Did you have something to add, Suzanne?
No, I just, that was the Trey comment.
I love that. I love that. So tell me, last thing, can you remember the moment in your life or the year that you met the band, like, in your ears, like when and how, like, do you remember? Because if you talk about the Dave Matthews Band, it takes me back to a moment in my car. I can go as far back as I was in a Ford Explorer in 1990, whatever, going to work. Like, I can remember my first memory, which may have not been my actual first connection with the band, but it was my first, like, that aha moment where, oh my God, I just got everything he said. And when I think of when did I first listen or first connect with the band, that is the moment, the day, the absolute moment I can remember being in my car and hearing it, and it was over after that, after we had made that connection. So tell me, do you have a story like that in your life where it doesn't have to be like when you first heard the band, but when you think of the band, is there an immediate connection, like a moment that you think of?
I'll go on this one. For me, now I've pretty much loved this band since the first time I saw them in 2005, 2006. But I want to say, although I've loved them every year, seen them every year, I want to say within the last 2 years is when everything really clicked for me. I remember I used to be a big long guy, and it over the years it's evolved, and now pit, once you see them in the pit, like, it's hard, or even like a lower seat, it's hard to see them outside of that, just
Sure.
watching Dave and the band and how everybody, it's pure magic watching them work together and communicate on stage.
Absolutely.
And over the years, this group of D&B family, or this community, I'd say amongst ourselves, has just gotten bigger and bigger, and we meet new people every year, and our friendships just get bigger. And to me, it's much bigger than the music. It's these lifelong friendships that you create through this band. So yeah, being in the lawn for so many years, and then now it's Pit or nothing. Just some incredible people over the years. But I mean, I remember early years, like we'd have the flip phones, or even phones that didn't have high resolution capabilities. I remember recording songs and stuff, and I'd have my phone out for most of the concert. But now, within the last few years, I've wanted to be somewhat present and
Absolutely.
just tap into the music, and try not even to take a bathroom break. Like,
oh yeah, I know.
So just be completely consumed by the band and the music. And now that I've been able to do it with some amazing people that have changed my life, that's when I knew, I'm like, that this was something special, and that the band really does this for me.
Yeah.
It's an incredible feeling. And I know that we all have our stories and all have our ways that, what the band means to us, and what all these friends, mean to us in these relationships. And it's amazing. And sometimes I fumble to say the right words when I talk about this amazing.
No, I get
amazing
it.
group
It's
that we
hard
have.
it's hard to even put into words.
Yeah, it is. And it's an incredible feeling. And then you get groups that just get groups combined, like for instance, like Lynn and Kevin's group, we combined this year at the Gorge with two other groups, and it was this huge camp. It's just things like that, like seeing everybody come together.
It's insane.
And then you do it year after year.
It's just magical. That's the only word that keeps coming. It's crazy to imagine how many, I always like to call them, you have your core group of friends that you travel with and that you go and you do stuff with, and then you have all your subgroups that you kind of know everybody when you show up to a concert.
Yeah,
but those,
birthdays and weddings and
absolutely,
you're not just concert friends anymore. You become true real friends that you do things outside of the band with. You go, like how just said, weddings, XYZ. I think for me too, one of the moments where I really started connecting with the band is one of my first experience in the Pit, because you really sit there and you can stare and channel or dial into a single member of the band and really watch, and see how big of a pivotal part of the band they actually are playing in.
Absolutely.
And so when you look at every piece, right, and you're just going back and forth, and then you channel into the lyrics as well, I think that's a huge part for me as well. And then when I got my first car, my brother burned me about 6 CDs, but one of my favorites was Live at Red Rocks.
Oh yeah.
And the lifelong friendships that we have, and just even the lyrics there and the music that we listen to is a huge part. And even this year, being able to bring people into the Pit and stuff, give them tickets that we had extras of, and really allow other people to experience what we've been able to experience is a huge part of the connection as well.
It's amazing to get to watch someone on their very first Pit experience, especially if they're really into what's happening on the stage. And so it's kind of a battle between you watch the band, you watch your friend, watch the band, you watch your friend.
Yeah.
And so I love that, only because I look at myself, this is stupid reference, but as a teacher, I'm always trying to okay, now watch what he's about to I'm so into the technical side of it. I always want to see if someone else is too. Now that I have been in pit for so many, and I'm just so blessed to be able to even say that, but like if I had never been, or if I never get to be again, I think I would be sad to see like which guitars they're bringing out, like which pedals they're going to use, like all of the things that probably no one cares about, but I'm like, I need to know every little chord and where it's at, because I love watching that side of them putting it together, and what it takes to actually put on a show like that, and the communication between the band members, them talking back and forth, and the pit gives you an experience that is just so much more if you're looking for more than just the music, which, I guess I'm not looking for anything more than the music, but since I feel like since I know 99% of what's going to come out of their mouth, I've just gotten really into the guitars and like what is making this happen? Like, what is the electricity behind all of this show? And so I don't know if any of you share in that weird side of being a fan.
I do a little bit. I do a little bit, but at the same time, I gotta say, from a person that has, I walk around every single show. Everybody knows that's what I do. I have a shot. Even I go from the back of the lawn to the front of the pit, and it really shows the different angles of the show from the back to the front, how different people are, different parties, different things, different views. Sometimes, the best sound in sight is right by the soundboard, obviously, you know what I mean? And, and so everybody listening to this podcast, probably, there's going to be a percentage that haven't even gone to the pit or have no interest, and the reason is because different party for different people. And that's what the band is all about too, is, it's like a different thing for everyone. So, just because for us, it's like that, we have to respect it's not that for everybody. And, being you understand what I'm saying, So
yes. I've definitely left the pit before and went and hung out in the lawn because the party was better in the lawn. And I think a lot of people say that.
Exactly.
Parties in the back. Energy's in the back.
Yes.
And be.
Yeah, and speaking of being entrenched, one of the first memories I remember of Dave Matthews, and a couple of my friends, if they're listening, they'll remember this for sure, is that we were driving back down to IU, where I went to school, Indiana University, from Indianapolis down to Bloomington, and rocking out to Ants Marching. And everybody knows Ants Marching, man, that drum is going. And I'm drumming down, drumming. And all of a sudden, I see a police car behind me. And the lights are on and everything. And I'm like, oh, shit, we're getting pulled over. And I pull over and the cop comes up to me. And, of course, as soon as the cop comes up, he's like, you're speeding. And, I come up with a good excuse like, oh, officer, I was just passing that semi right by me. He's like, I've been following you for 2 miles and you've been drumming in the air the whole time. Trying to pull you over.
Oh, that's
you're not passing a semi.
That's awesome.
So for 2 miles, he was behind me and I was air drumming, and he was like, "Oh my god!" So talk about being entrenched in the Mercury inks back in the day.
I mean, sometimes you have to play the drums. I've caught myself. I always joke that if you ride in my car, you're going to see me drive. You're going to see me play the drums. You're going to see me sing and maybe play the guitar. I don't know what's going to happen in a trip in my car.
That's
so
right.
I'm glad to know someone else is playing the music.
That's right. That was in a baby blue, awesome Mercury Lynx, if anybody remembers that.
What year would have this been?
This was in 1994, 95.
Yes, 94, 95. God. When I talk about anything in the 1900s, my children literally are like, you're old. Like the 1900s, Mom, what? And I'm like, God, some of my best fucking memories were in the 90s. Hush.
Exactly.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Okay. Well, guys, I didn't get to hear Suzanne. How did y'all? No, I got to hear Lynn. Suzanne? What was your aha moment? Yep. What's your aha moment?
I've been thinking about that, and I don't really know. I just used to go to a lot of live shows. Like I can remember my home venue, Matchbox 20, the same year that I went to Dave Matthews and also Aerosmith. Like I kept going, to my local venue. And I remember the Dave Matthews experience was incredible. I mean, I've been doing this for 22 years. So I don't know what year that was exactly. Probably my first show, I think, was up at my brother's in Foxborough, Massachusetts in 1998. 99. But I don't know when but I will tell you, I never bought the CDs and listened to them before I went to any of the shows. I did it the reverse. I went to the live shows, and that's how I learned the music.
That's the best way.
And yeah, and then I of course ended up buying all the CDs over the years. But one of my favorite things to do now, and I don't do it all the time, considering how many shows I go to, but when I do listen to the Sirius XM channel, I do love to hear. I play a little game with myself when I'm driving. I'll hear a song and I'll listen, and I'll listen closely, and I'll listen to Dave's voice, and I'll listen to keyboards, violins, and I'll make a guess of what year approximately that song was released, because, most of them are live. And it's interesting because I can usually identify which is Leroy and which is Jeff.
Well,
And I usually
that's pretty good.
What Buddy.
I had that same conversation with Rashawn, and he said he feels exactly the same way. So you're not the only one that hears it.
I literally I'll be driving along. Yeah. I'll drive and I'll listen and I'll say, I bet this was around 2003, 2002. And then I'll test myself and I'll look at the Sirius XM broadcast. And usually I'm within a year or two, which is, it makes me feel good. But I mean, I have been to, I think you guys both know, you all know, I've been to over 340 shows. So
that's crazy.
A lot of live shows. Yeah. But I just want to circle back real quick. I don't know how much time we have, but
we have all the time we want, but not everybody, I guess.
Ali's comment about the pit experience. I think most of you guys know that I'm always, mostly always in the pit, which is hard work. I mean, these tickets don't fall off trees. You have to work for them.
They do.
But I was reminded only last weekend about why I'm always in the pit. I had seats at Madison Square Garden for one of the nights, and I was reminded why I go into the pit, because I take my DMB experiences very seriously. And when I'm up there with these people who are climbing over you to get drinks and go to the bathroom and having a conversation about work, and then they're on their phones and they're scrolling through Facebook, and then they're holding the phone up in front of you and you can't see, I'm just like, what are you guys doing here? You shouldn't spend the money to come to a show if you're not going to pay attention to it.
Exactly.
And it's very, very disruptive to me when you're trying to listen to, let's say it's your favorite song, and there's like 4 people in front of you that are having a conversation and laughing and, spilling drinks. But
Absolutely.
The people in the pit, I have found, most of us are the same. We really want that interactive experience with the band. We don't want all these, other fans that are really not there for the music to
It's
sort
a
of,
hobby.
And when you see the people in the pit and how they have their eyes glued to the stage and how they dance and sing, and really take away everything that you want to take away from the night, you feel like you're with your like-minded, friends and family.
Absolutely.
And so I've answered the question to myself. Yeah. I mean, you really, the pit is a totally different experience. And it's hard work, though. If you want to be in the front, you're on your feet, you don't sit down.
It definitely takes a game plan.
11 hours, 10 hours by the time you line up.
It takes some planning to do it well.
I'm developing Achilles tendonitis. I'm developing Achilles tendonitis with all the shows that I've done.
I've almost reached, Susanna, I've almost reached that level to where, have you seen like the little, it's like a cane, but it has a little seat on it?
I did. That was hilarious.
I'm almost there.
These are first world problems, I think.
Right. I know.
Definitely. I didn't say it was a major problem. I'm just saying.
But the pit experience is definitely for really people who are there for the music. And I really feel that it's worth it.
It is.
Around and pay.
If only once, if only once is the opportunity
like
that you have.
You take away so much more from the night.
Even lower.
Yep. And when you have the eye contact with the band members and they smile at you, it's just priceless, It really is.
I haven't sat on the lawn in over 20 shows. So it's pit or nothing.
But it's not, I guess what it comes down to is who you're with.
It all does.
It's not where, but
who you're with.
That's exactly right.
So everybody has, their different experiences and moments, but yeah,
We're very all pro pit, but not
seeing them
everyone can be.
closer does a lot. It gives you a different perspective on things, but and then I guess one last thing that's really important to me about this band is if you look at all of us, or collectively anybody in this DMB community, this DMB family, I mean, we all come from different walks of life. We all come from different backgrounds, and I think for the about 3 hours that the band plays, Dave's music heals us all in certain ways, and for that 3 hours, we leave everything at our lives at the door and allow them to help us, get through some tough times. And, I see these posts, on all these pages and stuff, and like Dave's gotten people through some tough times in their lives, but, for that concert, we're able to leave that aside and come together and be one big family.
Absolutely. I like to say often to my husband, who is not quite the Dave Matthews fan that I am, or whatever I am, whatever level, I don't know. I mean, I've just been into it longer than he has, and he is coming around. But I like to joke to him that it's a really cheap form of therapy for me. Like I can go in with whatever on my heart and walk away a changed person, or at least with a different perspective of that problem, right? And so, and typically the people that I've met at Dave Matthews Band concerts have the ability to guide me in that same, I guess, mental way of just like keeping things positive and teaching me to be a positive person and look at things through perspectives of other people. And so there's some real life lessons that the band itself has taught me without necessarily that's their goal, of course, but the takeaway from the band for me has just been so rich and so rewarding. And so it sounds like that is the same for you guys, but it's just all wherever your void was, that void was filled by the Dave Matthews Band. And that's really powerful. I think that's if I can never understand in my life what it would feel like to be someone that had such an influential position in my life, where I can think back as far as I can, and that person has always kind of been there with encouraging words. But what a thing to have to get to do, just to be so positive for people, but at the same time, the pressure that comes along with that on, being watched and being listened to and being all of the things that the band has to ultimately pay the higher price in order for us to have this high or this peace or whatever it is. And so, and we know that in our futures, this will be something that we have to hold on to and remember the memory of this instead of actually getting to plan for the future of this. And so I try to keep that perspective very strong, that I need to remember to be very present and very appreciative of what's happening now, because in the rest of my life, they will not always be around, probably. And so I choose to enjoy every day as if it's the first and the last. And so that's kind of where I am with the Dave Matthews Band. Does anyone else kind of feel that way, or completely different?
Well, that was well said.
Very well said. And it's honestly funny that you say that, right, about your husband, because, if you asked any person in my life that has never been to a Dave Matthews concert, they'd be like, "You're such a little groupie." Like,
absolutely.
Don't get it. How do you go see this same guy perform, over and over and over again? And like, people just, unless you're there and you're in the moment and you feel it, you really just don't get it,
Yeah, no, and there's no way to. I mean, I think
no, exactly.
There's no way to. It definitely takes, I don't know, the perfect guide. I think you almost have to. It sounds so weird, like we're going on a trip, but that's what I like to call them. And I want to be a trip guide. Like I would love to take little Dave Matthews Band virgins and just bring them together and do their first experience with them. Like, yeah. Like I would be such a nerd in this situation. But just to watch someone for their first time light up and to really hear what's happening and just to appreciate it is well, I think to love it is one thing, and to appreciate it is almost another thing, because the talent and the time and the education that these musicians have they're giving us everything at that moment, everything that they've worked on for way past 31 years. It's beyond 31 years. It's how long that they've been in this music and in this industry. And so what an incredible thing to be part of. And I'm so thankful that I have met each of you because of this, and just to get to preach positivity and hopefully help others listen to some music that they never would have discovered without us. Hopefully we can be that bridge for some people out there listening. So thank you guys all so much for being part of this episode. We are going to have a different episode every week. It will always release on Thursday. So be sure to stay tuned for the next Space Between. Thank you guys so much for being involved.
Thank you
for having us, Renae. You're an amazing, energetic, incredible woman. And I just love the efforts that you put forward into all your posts and your groups and your podcast now. And you just inspire me. And this is what it's about. It's about being a better person and surrounding yourself with people who get it.
That's really all it is for me. So, thank you again so much for being on and being part of this. This is something that truly is, it's a heart thing and not a mind thing for me, although it takes both. But I love music. It really is just been the key to happiness for me, which sounds insane, but it has been my form of therapy. And so I appreciate anyone who has the same appreciation for the same band or music that I do. And so I appreciate each of you. If you, this will actually live come up on Spotify and Apple podcasts on December 1st. So mark your calendar for that. That's when it'll come up. You guys will actually get a chance to listen to it all together before that release date, because of course I'll have to insert all the intro, outros, music, blah, 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 stuff that goes around what we have said. And then I may cut it up just a little bit if there's been some time in between speaking or something like that. So I'll release that to you guys the day before so that you can have it to listen to, and then of course share to all your friends. And if podcasts are one of those things that either you love them or you hate them, I have kind of found out a lot of people have extra time in their cars for commuting, and a lot of people work from home now, so listening to podcasts is becoming more popular. But it's really going to be Dave Matthews Band focused, but it's really going to be about more of that heart thing, of the mind thing, like what it does to you cerebrally to listen to the Dave Matthews Band. And that's really what I want this to be about. And so thank you again so much for sharing this with me and being part of this voyage.
Thank you for having us. And again, Ali, I also want to thank you for kind of being the conduit that brought us together for this podcast.
Yes.
At the end of the day.
Of course. Thank you guys. Thank you all.
Yes, thank you, everybody. And
Thank you.
have a great, I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. And
yes.
Looking forward to hearing this all again. And it was our pleasure. Thank you, Renae.
Absolutely.
Yes, really awesome.
Thank you guys so much. And I will be in touch with you soon. Okay.
Okay.
Perfect.
All right. Thanks. Have a great day.
That was awesome.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Alrighty. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.